Or we
We already went live, so.
Okay, never mind.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. As always, joined by your hosts, myself, Alex Fishbein. We got Mike Bash. We got Dennis Big Sexy Clausen. What's going on, guys?
What's going on? Football season's back. Basketball season's coming close, so I'm ready.
Yeah, training camp's starting a couple weeks here.
Yeah.
True.
Aaron Sharp gonna win Most Improved.
Oh God.
It's a new season for everybody, which means the Orlando Magic have a fresh start to advance to the NBA championship.
I mean, it's true. I don't know how close they're actually gonna get to that, but it's technically true. But
yeah, they won't
Dennis,
make the playoffs. Yes.
I'll just say now, good game for fantasy football. I know I don't have a chance really, so there's that.
I have a question. If you combine both of your scores, do you beat me?
Mike, this isn't about you, honey. This is about us.
I mean, I know if you combine both of your scores, you didn't beat Spinato, but I mean, he put up.
His team went. I want to know how he got Justin Jefferson, Travis Kelce, Cooper Kupp, and Patrick Mahomes all on the same team.
So
does he have Devontae Adams too?
Yes, he also has Devontae Adams.
All right, so in the initial draft, he drafted Mahomes and drafted Adams. Right. He traded 2 first-round picks for Kelce last year. He drafted Swift in the initial rookie draft, then traded him for Jefferson. I don't know how he got Cooper Kupp. I don't know how he got Cooper Kupp. I thought maybe he drafted him originally.
Yeah, I mean, remember when before last season, Cooper Kupp was like a fifth round guy.
Yeah, he drafted Cooper Kupp in the starter.
True. Yeah, Cooper Kupp was not he wasn't anything to write home about before last season.
He drafted Cooper Kupp in the startup. He drafted and that's he's had a good team. The funny thing is we've been playing with him for years, and he's kind of been like the league punching bag, because every year by the 8th round of the draft, he'd be 4 beers deep drafting guys we've never heard of. But now he's we shortened the draft to 4 rounds, give him 2 hours to pick, and he's killing it. He's defending champion and might go back to back. We know Dennis ain't winning, and we for sure know Alex ain't winning, so I'm the only hope.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to back.
I know Dennis has no chance. Alex has a fighting chance.
I mean, it's sad. It's sad though that I won with Dak Prescott as my starting quarterback.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers put up less.
Yeah, those Green Bay wideouts aren't looking good.
No one on Green Bay is looking good, except maybe AJ Dillon.
And they got to get Aaron Jones more involved. Remember that SNL skit where he's like, more cowbell?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what Aaron Jones. We need more Aaron Jones.
I agree. I need more of everybody on my team. So I'm just going to say that. But anyway, let's get into some basketball. So before we get to our Northwest Division preview, for those who don't know, every year we go division by division for each week leading up to the season, doing divisional previews. This week we're going to do the Northwest, but we'll get to some news and stuff first. One of those being the NBA has proposed an in-season tournament that it would not actually add any games other than the actual championship game to this in-season cup. Most of the games would be all regular season, and they would count towards that, and then you would get to the championship and then play out the rest of the year. What do you guys think? Do you like the idea? Do you hate the idea? What do you think?
it's weird because like I know like soccer does it, right? They have, but I also never know at soccer like what season we're ever in. You know, it's like all of a sudden it's like the World Cup, and then it's the Premier League, and then it's the FA Cup, and then it's the Champions Shield, and then it's the Champions League. It's like they just keep playing soccer until the lights turn off, basically, and create a new tournament every other month. So
Right.
it kind of has a soccer feel, but like nobody in the NBA is going to be like, "Oh, you were the mid-season champion." Like nobody's going to honor that. So. It's cool. It's a wrinkle, but I don't. It's just not. It's one of those like it's not a traditional thing.
Right. Agreed. Dennis, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't. As of right now, I don't like it. However, I didn't like the concept of the play-in game. Now I love it, but right now with the in-season tournament, I don't like it. It sounds way too complicated. It sounds way too like gimmicky. It sounds. I don't like it. I don't need it. I don't think anybody needs it. I just think just have a regular season. I don't care about tournaments. I don't. I just play your season. The guys can't even make it through a regular season anyways. Now you want to add a tournament to it. So right. Yeah, enough. With the garbage. Let's do play-in. The play-in tournament's fine. I love the play-in tournament now. Outside of that, leave it alone.
Yeah. No, I agree. I will say the one thing that I thought was interesting was the fact that they weren't going to add any extra games. It was just the only extra game is the actual championship game of the tournament. But even at that, like Mike said too, no one's going to take that serious. Like, say, I don't know, LeBron wins the mid-season tournament. It's not like when he gets to retire, people are going to be like, oh, it makes him the GOAT. He won the mid-season tournament. Like, no, nobody's going to actually acknowledge that. It's mainly going to be like, oh, you won an all-star MVP? Like, good job. They don't even try for that. And even Mark Cuban said that most likely he'd be resting all of his starters if they actually had to do that kind of thing. Because why risk them getting hurt in a mid-season tournament that doesn't matter for anything compared to having them healthy for the finals?
All right, so I have NBA.com up, and if you'll allow me a moment, I would just like to read
another prepared statement.
No prepared statements this week, but this is the synopsis surrounding the premise of the in-season tournament.
Okay.
If I may. The proposal calls for 8 teams to play 8 divisional games in the group stage of the event, which would begin November 24th, which is right around Thanksgiving.
That's not even a mid-season tournament. It's like the Maui Invitational.
It really is. And continue through December 11th. These dates are tentative. The group stage games, 4 home, 4 away, would count toward a team's regular season total. The 6 division winners and 2 wild cards would qualify for the quarterfinals on December 13th and 14th. The semifinals would be played as a doubleheader on December 16th, and the title game would be played 2 days later, with the semi and finals at a neutral site like Las Vegas. Players on the winning team would split $15 million. The winning coaching staff would split $1.5 million. What the fuck does that mean? I have no idea what they're talking about. The group stage? What is this, soccer? I have no fucking clue. I'm more confused after reading that than I am before.
I mean, I just think they're trying way too hard. The NBA is trying too hard to get this same amount of viewers per game that the NFL is going to have, but that's just never going to happen. The NFL has 17 games for each team. So that means by default, every game is way more important in the NFL than each game in the NBA. The only way you're going to make each game that important in the NBA is by shortening the season, because then every game matters.
Or how about this? tell your boys to stop sitting on the bench and get out there and play. Because when you have a national TV game on the schedule and LeBron sits out for load management, what do you think is going to happen to the ratings? You think anybody's going to watch that?
Exactly.
Do you think anybody's going to? I mean, if you did something like you can. This is scheduled tentatively because they love that word apparently from their fucking press release. But if you have something scheduled and that game turns out that these teams suck and they're not as good as they thought they were going to be, or somebody's injured, so just put another game on.
Right. And the other thing too is, like, you could just make a rule that says if your game is nationally televised, you're not allowed to sit for load management. Like, sit for load management on a locally televised game. If like you absolutely have to, just sit on a locally televised game, and it fixes a lot of things, because then that national number of people are going to actually tune in because they know the players are going to play unless they're actually hurt. And it's just like the fact that they keep trying to push this extra shit all the time does not exactly improve viewership, because, like we're saying, it's just as important as the middle of the regular season, even if you have this cup game. And if you really wanted to improve viewership, why not make the Christmas Day? Why not make that into, like, where you play the championship and third place game or something of the cup? Like, make it on the big basketball day, and then you add more and more viewers, because they're like, oh, it's already Christmas Day basketball, but now they're playing for, like, extra money and stuff.
I mean, either that or they could just keep the season as it is. And
yeah, I agree.
I mean, ratings are down in the NBA. The finals wasn't really a big hit. The NBA is still making money. So it's not like they're hemorrhaging money. So, I mean, I don't understand yeah, you want to increase viewers and all this stuff. Why don't we just tell your guys, to quit acting like wimps? Let's focus on the on-court product instead of off-the-court antics, and you'll bring a lot of the viewers back.
Right. I mean, I agree. Just just stop adding dumb shit. Like, the play-in, good idea, because it leads into the playoffs, which is what everybody wants to see. It's like baseball has so many games, you could miss like 2.5, 3 months of watching baseball games and still see just as an important game as it was at the beginning of the season.
Well, I think a lot of with basketball too, and this is kind of like a slippery slope to walk on, but when you politicize things in the sports world, Black Lives Matter movement, all that type of stuff, it's going to turn people off, and that's what happened. People kneeling for the flag. I'm not saying I disagree with what it is. I'm not getting involved in that. I'm just saying that those types of things are what lead. You're dividing your audience, and a lot of casual viewers don't want to deal with that.
No, it's true. I mean, people don't want their politics and sports mixed up because they watch sports to get away from politics. That's how the world is. But
I'm not saying by any means that what they're doing isn't like admirable and trying to bring attention to some things. But there has to be a limit, and it has to be done without isolating a certain group of your viewership.
Right. No, yeah. I mean, I agree with that too.
So basically what I'm saying is that if you just focus on what's going on the floor and, put all the circus and the hijinks away and all that other stuff, get your guys to play, none of this, load management garbage and things like that. Figure out how to get these guys to play. Figure out how to get the best games on TV, on national television, and focus what's going on the floor, and you'll bring people back. But every time I talk to somebody, they're like, I don't like, I can't get into the NBA anymore because of this or that. You know what I mean? And then I have to sit there and defend why the NBA is still good and why there's exciting things going on in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like you don't really hear a lot of people say, "Oh, things are great." You hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I stopped watching after Michael left and all that type of stuff." You know what I mean?
Right. The one I will say the one argument that pisses me off the most about people who are like, "Oh, I like college basketball more than the NBA because like the games are closer and they play defense." I'm like, that's because in college the teams aren't as good. People come back in games in college and people have close games and there's buzzer beaters and stuff because the teams aren't that good. So they let other teams back into it. Whereas in the NBA, you have a guy like LeBron. Yeah, he's really fucking good, and he's not going to let the other team get back into it to get a buzzer beater shot. But college happens all the time.
Okay, hold on. First thing, I don't know if you guys remember JJ Redick saying that the reason, like, they had this exact argument, like, oh, why college games are better, this, that, and the other thing, why teams struggle to score more in college or whatever. And he was like, or whatever it was. One, it's because he said colleges just run the same sets over and over again, and the game is not evolving the same way the NBA is, right? The guys in the NBA 1 through 5 can, with the exception of like the Rudy Goberts in the world, can shoot the ball, can dribble, pass, whatever. Fives in college on 300 of 330 teams can't shoot, right?
Right.
They can make maybe like a mid free throw line jumper, if that, but like fives in college just can't shoot. And if you can, you're like a first-round draft pick. That being said, the college atmosphere, now I'm a season ticket holder for a college basketball team for Rutgers, is unmatched. Like, I don't care what you say. You get in a big time, like one of the big-time schools, you go to a home game and a big-time game, that's the best atmosphere you're ever going to see, no matter what, compared to the NBA. Because the NBA, I mean, the fans are corporate. The $2,000 to sit in the lower level or $800 to sit in the lower level. You're not getting a raucous crowd. You're getting, the guy who wants to bring a client to games. Yeah, the raucous fans are sitting up in the nosebleeds because it's $95 to sit in the nosebleeds. So I think the atmosphere of a college game is better, but obviously the product is better in the NBA.
Yeah, no, I agree that the fan environment and the fan experience is most likely going to be better at like big college games. I mean, sitting in the Oakland Zoo at Pitt was fucking amazing. I loved going to every single game I could when I was up there. Mm-hmm. And like the only thing that compares with the Sixers when I was there are big playoff games. Like not even the first round, but anything past the first round of the playoffs is the only equivalent. And that's just because Philly's just fucking nuts and starving for a championship. There's teams that, I mean, their fans probably aren't as great because either they're so used to being terrible or they're so used to having so many championships. But I agree that the fan environment in college is better, but it's the people that say like, oh, I watch college on TV because like the games are closer. And like they think that means that it's better basketball, and I'm like, that's just completely false.
The on game college product is complete garbage. Most of them aren't good. I mean, they're good in a way that they could play college basketball, but they're not good in a way to where they're going to get to the professional. At the professional level, guys who are the 13th, 14th, 15th guy in the NBA are usually by far some of the best players in college. I mean, so that just goes to show you like the level of competition it takes to get to the NBA. Plus, you get guys coming from international and things like that, so it's not just a college feeder system. With that said, I like going to NBA games. I would rather spend money to get a good seat away from drunk 19-year-old morons at some football, 100,000 people, throwing up all over the place. I'd just rather go get a nice club box and get a recliner and just watch the game.
Yeah, I mean, everyone would love to go sit in a club box.
Right. Oh, I thought you were. I thought you were going to continue on that.
No.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's definitely a difference in if you're going to like go to an NBA game versus a college game. Like the thing with college games that was fun was just being a part of a group that was all unified in like the cheers that they throw out there, the shit that they like, the traditions that they do and stuff. Like all that stuff was cool in terms of being at a college game. But I agree that going to an NBA game is great because you can like not like relax, but you have your space. You get away from like the really ridiculous people and stuff, but you can still get crazy and hype too if you feel like it. But all in all, the NBA just need, like you said, they need their stars to play. They need to put the right games on national TV. And another reason too with college basketball, again, they have less games. Less games is going to equate to each game being more important. I'm not saying I want the NBA to make less games, but if their overall goal is to make each game more important and have more people tuning in, that is the de facto thing you have to do. That's all it is.
Yeah, I don't know though, because people have that window to watch the important games for the NBA, and that's the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And people still aren't even coming back for that. So I think it's more. It has to do with more than just how many games there are in a season. It just has to do with a culmination of factors that extends beyond how many games are in any given season. Baseball plays 162 games. I think 162, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a big baseball guy, but I mean people go to baseball games and they're playing at 2:00 on a fucking Tuesday during the school year. So I honestly, I just think it all boils down to, they need to do more to bring back the casual fans, focus more on what's going on the court. They made a big leap with the foul calling rules last season, which seemed to help, add a little bit of grit and toughness back to things, but nobody's going to come back and watch if you're purposely trying to segregate your audience.
But that is also another good point that you just brought up.
I'm full of good points. I have a lot of good points.
True. But a lot of people hate watching all the flopping and everything. Like, the amount of people I hear complaining about flopping and begging the ref for calls and all that kind of stuff. So many people talk about how they can't stand it. Even like my parents, my dad actually watches pretty much every Sixers game possible. And he's still like bitches about people like bitching about calls and all that kind of stuff. But there's actual people out there that do that and then just turn the game off because they're tired of it. Because like you said, they liked the game when Michael Jordan was there and Larry Bird was there. And there was no bitching about all that stuff. It was just play basketball. I mean, there was bitching, but like it was mainly play basketball. If you get fouled, it's a foul because they knocked you on your ass. Not like, oh, I acted for a foul.
Yeah, but it's a little bit. These guys are whining.
Oh yeah, I agree.
They were bitching back then with purpose. These guys just whine. But
oh yeah, they had a reason to bitch back then because you were getting punched and you didn't get a call.
Yeah, remember like when you were a kid, right? You're riding your bike. You don't have a helmet on. You hit a rock. You fly over the handlebars. You smack your head on the ground. You're bleeding. What'd you say?
How big of a rock do you have to hit to go flying over the handlebars?
A boulder. You hit a boulder.
You don't see the boulder? What is this, the Titanic?
All right, just follow me here, honey, okay? So, I mean, you flip over your bike or you try to go down some ramp and, you smack your knee in your head, you're bleeding, and you're right back out there playing 5 minutes later. Right. Anthony Davis gets scratched in the forehead and he's out 4 to 6 weeks. You're telling me a guy who's like 6'10", 6'11" can't fucking play from, getting a infected blister on his foot. You know what I mean?
Did you guys see the
No.
video of Anthony Davis playing 2K?
Yeah, I sent it to you guys.
Oh, where he was playing with the Lakers, and then Anthony Davis got hurt playing with Anthony Davis.
He got like a block, and then he hurt his ankle.
I mean, that should tell you something right there.
Oh God, that's great. But yeah,
No,
no.
but
I mean,
why is it that little chubby fat Dennis at 6 years old could flip off his bike, dislocate his arm, hit his nutsack on the bars, and I'm right back out there. Excuse me.
You probably had a little more insulation.
Well, that may be true, but I mean, if you're 6'10" and you're one of the best players in the world, you shouldn't be. It's embarrassing watching him play. Remember, like the one time he like hurt his knee, it didn't even look that bad, and then he gets to the tunnel and collapses. I'm like, this is embarrassing.
Yeah, there's a lot of like kind of quality of life things that the NBA is just kind of deteriorated with, and that's why a lot of people aren't watching. That's just what it comes down to. And like you said, if they want to increase viewers, you gotta appease the casual viewer, because the diehard basketball fans are always gonna watch. The people who love basketball are always gonna watch. That you're not gonna lose them from whatever it may be. It's the casual people that you have to appease to if you really want to increase viewers. So,
I mean, you think Larry, working down there at fucking UPS throwing boxes in the back of a truck with a bad back and a wife who left him, so he's got to pay 25% of his salary to the 6 kids he has at the trailer park. You think he wants to watch a millionaire flop around?
Exactly.
What he's working 20 hours of overtime in some hot, shitty factory?
And sit games out because
there's
they're
no there's no relatability to that. People don't want to see that. Get on the floor. You make $1 billion. Fuck's sake.
When you have to see people like Kyrie just decide not to play because like, oh, the weather's too cold today.
Right.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
I mean, but the difference with Kyrie not playing is he's still a millionaire. There are people who didn't get vaccinated and they're laid off and they don't have money.
Exactly. So, switching gears real quick, the Hall of Fame class of 2022 was inducted not too long ago. I think it was like maybe yesterday or today. That included the likes of Tim Hardaway Sr., George Karl, Manu Ginobili, Swin Cash, Lindsey Whalen. There's a few other people that were in there. I don't mean to disrespect any of them. I just didn't have their names at the time. But I think this is a pretty good overall Hall of Fame class. I mean, George Karl, I have to say, is hilarious on Twitter because he just talks shit about like all of his former players. And I think it's also pretty hilarious how he like really hates Carmelo Anthony. Like he just everything, him and DeMarcus Cousins, every time he gets a chance, he like talks shit on both of them.
I mean, he's not the only guy who doesn't like Carmelo Anthony.
True, but like they were some of the biggest players he coached, and like were some of the biggest reasons why the teams he coached did well at the time.
Yeah, but you imagine trying to deal with Carmelo Anthony back in his heyday, the ego on that guy that he probably had.
I mean,
he went through college and he was, getting catered to and his ass wiped, and then he goes to the NBA as a highly touted draft pick, and George Karl, one of the greatest coaches ever, has to play nice with some little stupid kid who because he has an ego. No wonder why he hates him. And you can't say anything because you're building your franchise around him.
I mean, true. I haven't read George Karl's book yet, but apparently in his book he unloads on everybody. So I kind of want to read that just to see the kind of shit that he talked. The other people that were inducted into the Hall of Fame, by the way, are Bob Huggins, Larry Costello, Del Harris, Hugh Evans, Lou Hudson, and yeah, that's it.
It's funny
Bob
to
Huggins,
me that
wasn't he the one at West Virginia? Mike,
Yes.
do you know that?
Bob
Okay.
Huggins is at West Virginia, the Huggy Bear.
Yeah. Sorry, Dennis, what were you going to
No, it's funny to me that Tim Hardaway has to go by Tim Hardaway Sr. because of his stupid kid.
say?
Ginobili.
He's
I mean,
another one.
He's the one that decided to name him the same name.
Ginobili.
Ginobili.
Yeah, but I don't think Tim Hardaway Jr., man, that guy literally, look at all the money he got for what?
Dennis, I feel like every episode is the same thing. Dennis just complains. Dennis is like the Jeff Van Gundy of this show. I'm Mark Jackson and Alex is Mike Breen.
Mike Breen.
Yeah.
I mean, Alex did say I brought up a lot of. Yeah, that's a little too much too.
What were you going to say?
But you did say I bring up a lot of good points though, so can't be too far off.
Every episode, every game, Jeff Van Gundy wants to change another rule in the NBA.
Well, he's not wrong. What is the big things he bitches about all the time? Instant replay, and he loses his mind, and I don't blame him.
He loses his mind every single replay.
Yeah, and I love it.
No matter what.
When him or Jeff Van Gundy are doing games, I love it. They're the best, both of them.
Oh, and the reason Tim Hardaway got money is because it was from the Knicks.
Yeah.
It's not because I mean, he might have had one decent season in there, but it's the Knicks.
Nah, but I was watching Tim Hardaway Sr. That guy was sick, man. The handles on that guy, crazy.
Oh yeah. One of the first guys to really like master the crossover too.
I mean, he was right. I mean, Kyrie Irving is a great ball handler, but Tim Hardaway, my God.
Oh yeah. I mean, definitely one of the pioneers of like being a great ball handler. And the teams that he was on, those Warriors teams too, those teams were amazing.
I just can't believe he got into the Hall of Fame after his LGBT rant back in the day. You know what I mean? So I kind of was like, kind of a little surprised, So
I actually didn't know about that, but I also like, so Tim Hardaway obviously credited with a lot of different ball handling, being one of the fathers of the crossover and everything. Looking at his stats though, I kind of am like surprised he's in the Hall of Fame. Like, it's not like I would look at his stats and be like, oh, that guy's Hall of Fame worthy. Yeah,
but he's a multi-time All-Star. He's a, first-team All-NBA guy.
True.
I mean, he has a resume. His teams went to the postseason a lot of the time. So
I'm looking at it right now. So he's a 5-time All-Star and a 5-time All-NBA player, and he was on the All-Rookie team. That's the whole list of his accolades. And then he had, let's see, it's about 4 seasons averaging 20 or more. And then after that, it was like 14, 18, 17, and then it fell off. So, like, I don't know. His career average is 17 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists, 1.6 steals. I mean, the steals for a career average, that's nice. And I'm not sitting here saying like he doesn't deserve to ever be in the Hall of Fame. I'm just surprised when you look at the stats on the face and then see that he's in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, like he was a really good player. But
I mean, I just like the George Karl edition.
Yeah,
I'm a Kings guy, but I mean, Sacramento. Come on, you couldn't let the guy get 2,000 wins. Fire him at 1,999. Like, you couldn't let him get there. So
they just really didn't want to.
I mean, they mess everything else up, so they might as well mess that up.
I will say, George Karl, from Penn Hills, Pennsylvania, by the way.
I have no idea where that is.
Not too far from me.
You ever been? So you've been to Penn Hills?
I mean, I haven't been there, but I know it's just not too far from me.
I wonder what they have going on down there at Penn Hills.
Not much that I know of.
Okay. All right. Well, see you, Mike.
Oh no, Mike will be back. I'm just taking him off there since he took the video off. So,
and then Lindsay Whalen, man, she's a good player. She's on a lot of championship teams. The team she was on, the Minnesota Lynx, with Sylvia Fowles and Brunson and Maya Moore, and I mean
Lindsay, Swincash, Ginobili, those three. I'm like, yeah, that easy Hall of Fame selections.
I mean, Ginobili, just from what he did with the bat, immediately you're in.
Oh yeah, they should have gave him the jacket right then and there. Mm-hmm. What other NBA player have you seen kill a bat?
I don't know, because the last time bats invaded San Antonio, there were guys running. D'Angelo Russell was running back to the tunnel. I mean, the crowd was chanting, for Manu to come out. I mean, he wasn't playing at the time, but
right.
I mean, Manu literally just swiped that bat out of the air, picks it up. I wouldn't touch that thing. For one, rabies.
Yep.
2, vampire. Like, are you going to turn into a vampire if that thing bites you? Man, I don't know. So, I'm not taking that chance.
Nobody's proven it wrong.
What's that? Vampire?
Nope, that you can't turn into a vampire.
Right.
So that possibility is on the table, so I wouldn't touch it either.
No. So, I mean, yeah, it's like, Ginobili's a fantastic player. He certainly deserves it. George Karl, loved him as a coach when I was a kid and everything. Seattle Supersonics, and just a good coach, So, Tim Hardaway Jr., if you didn't like playing, being Tim Hardaway Jr. on any console game that you had growing up, you weren't cool. And because Tim Hardaway was awesome.
Oh, no. Tim Hardaway, great player to watch. Always entertaining. But that being said, let's transition here into our division preview. We have another topic about Danny Ainge, but we'll get to him when we start talking.
Congratulations, Hall of Famers.
Yes, congrats to all the Hall of Famers. Big honor, biggest honor you can get, and hopefully you all had a great induction there. So, Northwest Division preview. We got the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, the Trailblazers, the Thunder, and the Jazz.
I mean, this has to be the worst division in the NBA.
I don't know if I would go worst because the Nuggets and the Timberwolves are going to be good.
The Timber, come on.
Well, I'm not saying they're going to be championship
as much as good. You hate Rudy Gobert, you say the Timberwolves are going to be good.
They're going to be a playoff team.
I mean, they were last year. It doesn't mean they were good.
Well, that's what that's all I mean by good. They're going to be a playoff team.
I mean, but what's going to happen if Cat or Rudy Gobert goes down with an injury?
They won't be a playoff team.
Right. So, have you ever seen Cat go down with an injury throughout the years? Because I have, multiple times.
I mean, he has. I don't know what Mike's doing down there. Oh, there he is.
I got my dinner delivered, so I was trying to scarf it down real quick while you guys are talking.
What'd you get?
Oh, okay.
Some Taco Bell. Baja Blast.
Anyway.
So, yeah, I mean, anywho.
But hold on. You say if Cat or Gobert goes down, they didn't give up much in terms of players from last year's team to this year's team. They can withstand a big injury.
They could withstand a Rudy Gobert injury, but I don't think they could withstand a Cat injury.
I agree.
I mean, but here's the thing. They weren't that deep last year.
True.
So now if I mean they added Kyle Anderson, they have McLaughlin at the point, and Naz Reid was all right. I mean, but who else do you have? I mean, Kyle Anderson's good enough, but Brent Forbes and I mean, the bench is not good.
Brent Forbes is a sharpshooter.
I mean, D'Angelo Russell can't really stay healthy that much, so they're in trouble. Their bench depth is going to be an issue.
I mean, I will say that D'Angelo Russell has kind of been underwhelming to me ever since he left Brooklyn.
That makes two of us. I gladly, though, I would have taken him back to Brooklyn.
Over
In a
Kyrie.
heartbeat.
Oh.
Yeah, if we could have got rid of Kyrie,
yeah.
perfect. Come on back.
If you have D'Angelo at least playing basketball compared to Kyrie not playing basketball, then I agree. I would
Has
rather have
D'Angelo really been that underwhelming since he left Brooklyn? I mean, he's putting up pretty similar numbers.
I mean, he is, but like in Brooklyn, to me, he was more of a leader, and he was actually like
he was the focal point.
He was making his team win. Where in Minnesota, I feel like he's kind of just there. And I mean, the last 2 seasons in Minnesota, so not this past one, but the one before, he put up 19 and we'll say 6 a game. This past season, he went down to 18 points, but 7 assists a game. And his three-point percentage went down to 34%. His overall field goal percentage was only 41%. And he's taking like 3 to 4 less shots a game than he did in Brooklyn.
You know what? I'm going to say something here that's kind of controversial. As much as I love Kevin Durant being on the Nets, and as good of a player Kyrie Irving is, I'd rather have taken 3 more years of D'Angelo Russell than the last 3 years of headaches.
110% agreed. I didn't even like watching the Nets this season. I liked the Nets better when you had Spencer Dinwiddie and D'Angelo Russell, and they were scratching and clawing to try to make the postseason, and games were more exciting, and D'Angelo Russell was way more exciting.
Yep.
And then he gets dealt to Golden State, and Golden State obviously didn't, they just took him just to take him, and now he's in Minnesota.
I mean, hot take, I think D'Angelo Russell and Jared Allen would beat James Harden and Joel Embiid any day of the week.
Yeah, okay. That Baja Blast, the sugar is messing with your brain at this point.
Are you sure there's not like absinthe in there? Because, I mean, Jared Allen already gets pretty destroyed by Joel Embiid every time they play, so. And D'Angelo Russell's definitely not doing better than James Harden. Even the current version.
All right, anyway.
I mean, this is by far that it has to be the worst division in the NBA.
Anyway, Northwest Division preview. You already know where I'm going with this. Denver Nuggets going to win. I think Jamal Murray comes back healthy. Michael Porter Jr. comes back healthy. We're going to have a little slow start because the guys missed so much time. Give me 54-28 and win the division.
The Nuggets will easily win the division.
I think the Minnesota Timberwolves will come in second, I think, with 48 wins. 49 wins, I'll go. 49-33. After that, I'm going to follow it up with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oh, no, they lost Chet. All right, I'm going to go Portland. I'm going to go Portland after Portland with about 38 wins. And then I'll go Oklahoma City and Utah. Both will be under 30 wins this year.
See, if I had to rank, then I'm going to go Denver, Portland, then Minnesota, and then Utah. But Utah has to have, if Utah gets rid of Clarkson, Bogdanovich, and Mike Conley, then the OKC will be better. But if those guys stay on the roster, then there's still a fighting chance that they're going to have a better season.
Okay.
But when you look at Portland, though, I mean, Portland's Dame Lillard, when healthy, is a top 5 player in the league.
True.
Easily an MVP caliber player.
True.
Just was hurt last season. Anthony Simons is no CJ McCollum, but he's good. They added Jeremy Grant. They have Nurkic back. And as long as he can stay healthy, then Portland's going to be, Portland's just going to be just fine.
I will say, though, just based on how you've brought up players before, the last few seasons have been a little street clothes for Damian Lillard. I need him to stay a little healthier.
Right, yeah. If he stays healthy, and but if he goes street clothes, then yeah. But they have Gary Payton now, Josh Hart, so they have a good their roster's fine.
I do like the moves that they made this offseason to get a little bit better than where they were last season, especially after trading CJ. Because, I mean, Anthony Simons is going to be good, especially alongside Damian Lillard. They brought in Jeremy Grant, who's still a solid player. Is he a number 1 guy like Detroit hoped he would be? No, but he's a good, number 3 player. Josh Hart is a great do-everything type of guy. Nurkic is a decent center to just, grab boards, play a little bit of post defense. Gary Payton shores up the perimeter defense a little bit in there. Keon Johnson is getting better.
And Drew Eubanks was good when Nurkic was out. He played well.
True. Drew Eubanks was not bad at all. And then, I mean, Shaedon Sharpe, the guy that they just drafted, he's another guy that a lot of people talk about has a really big upside for him. So they actually do have some guys that I think could make a little bit of noise. I still do think, though, that Minnesota will get second in this division, but I could see Portland being like right around 500. I could see them being like somewhere in the realm of like 42 to 45 wins. And then I would have Minnesota probably between I'd probably have them at like 47 wins, 48 wins. And then, but after them, I would probably put OKC, and then I'd have Utah down at the bottom because, like you said, I'm just banking on Utah trading everybody else that they haven't traded yet. Clarkson and Bogdanovich and those guys, Mike Conley. Even if they don't trade them right away, I feel like they're going to heavily load manage those guys, really try and increase their value as much as possible to trade them. So I don't think they're going to run those kind of guys into the ground much. And then after them, the whole team is running on Colin Sexton, Malik Beasley, and a couple others. That's their core of their team. So yeah, I think Utah is coming in last in that division.
Yeah, but just my argument for OKC is that they're just a bunch of kids. I mean,
I agree.
They're
kids.
When you add, Bogdanovich is still one of the better players in the league. Conley is one of the
better players in this isn't the Euro League.
No, Bogdanovich is still a capable.
Yeah, he's an above average player, but he's not one of the better players in the league.
I think
he's one of the better role players.
Bogdanovich is. I mean, what are you basing it on here? What are you trying to say to me? I don't even know what your argument is.
When you say somebody's one of the better players in the league, that means they're like a top 40 player.
And maybe in your mind, that's what it means. I'm saying he's a good player. He's a starter. He's a starting caliber player, so that would make him one of the better players in the league. And he was arguably the number 2 option in Utah on the offensive end.
Okay, fine.
I mean, he averaged last season, 18 points?
Something like that.
What did he shoot, 39% from 3?
His 3-point percentage has been pretty good over there ever since he went there. Let's see. He shot, pretty much 39. It was 38.7%, 18 points a game, 4 rebounds.
All right, he sucks defensively, but offensively, he's still he's 33 now, but he's got plenty of years left in the tank.
A couple seasons ago, he put up 20 points a game, shooting 41% from three.
Jordan Clarkson was the sixth man of the year a couple years ago. His production declined a little bit, but he's still a better player than 90% of what OKC has on its roster. They're just young.
Oh, they also did get Larry Markkinen. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you know what? Like, Markkinen's not a horrible player by any means.
No, not at all. He just helped Finland win a game in Eurobasket. He put up like 40-some points.
These guys got to stop playing in Eurobasket. They're dropping like flies.
True, they are.
Gallinari hurt himself in Eurobasket. Giannis has had 3 separate issues since he's been in Eurobasket. Who else? Oh,
Speaking of Giannis,
Wagner sprained his ankle.
Giannis, for everyone out there that thinks we hate him, right there, we got his jersey. So get off our back.
Even after that heartfelt statement that I released and how I said that he was a great player, we still got our ass kicked. Like, I feel like people just want to argue just to argue.
Oh, that's true. It's the internet. Nobody cares. They're not going to actually listen or read or change their minds. It's the internet. It is what it is. But I will say, so I saw this thing from Danny Ainge. So this is we're still going to keep in like the Northwest Division preview here. But Danny Ainge was talking about how Utah was in this weird place when he showed up. He said that all the players looked like they didn't believe in each other or trust in each other. And he just thought that he might give them one more season and then start to blow things up because he was like, maybe it's just like a fluke and they just weren't, that one season was just weird and then they switched GMs and things like that. So he gave them that one more season. Obviously, it didn't go well. They didn't win anything. And then he blew things up. Do you think he would have gotten more for these guys if he blew it up a season prior? Or would you also have given it one extra season to see how it played out just like he did?
No, I thought the timing was right. I mean, especially, what do you get, like 10 first-round picks or something crazy, like 8 first-round picks?
Pretty much.
Clearly, Utah hit their peak. There wasn't really much more flexibility to go get another big piece. Like, you can get another Royce O'Neal or another PJ Tucker, another Bojan Bogdanovic, another helpful piece, but they needed another star go-to crunch time guy, and they didn't have that. They were like the Atlanta Hawks of the West from like the Jeff Teague days, where they had 4 or 5, 6, 7 really good players, but they didn't have 2 superstars. They had Rudy Gobert, who's a defensive superstar, and Donovan Mitchell, who's an offensive superstar. But combined, that's one superstar. You know what I'm saying? Like, you take Donovan Mitchell's offensive game, you take Rudy Gobert's defensive game, you got one complete player. They needed another complete player.
You put those two together, you have Kawhi.
There you go. Well,
I think
Anthony Davis. No, I'm just kidding.
The timing actually was perfect. But, I mean, Ainge was right. I mean, when you look at your 2 top players, Gobert and Mitchell have hated each other for years. It's been a love-hate relationship with those two. The free agent market this offseason wasn't that strong. The highlight of free agency was Jalen Brunson. You know what I mean?
True.
So, and then when Durant said he was going back to Brooklyn, there was a lot of disappointed teams that were hoping that they could get Durant because obviously that would make them. I mean, you had the Grizzlies, the Heat, Philly was like in there, Toronto, like all these teams were rumored to be involved in Kevin Durant in some way. And when he made it, known he was staying in Brooklyn, the value of a guy like Donovan Mitchell is going to go up because if you're looking to make a move and you're looking to make a move now, such as the Cavs, then you're going to do it. So I think the timing was perfect.
I will say this. I think the timing was perfect for Rudy Gobert because Minnesota got to the play-in and they're like, okay, we just need one. They think we just need one extra piece. So then they go all in, trading all these picks and everything for Rudy Gobert. I think the timing for him was perfect. However, I think they could have gotten more from some teams for Donovan Mitchell last offseason, especially because some of these teams wouldn't have signed the people they have signed currently. So, for instance, I think the Knicks might have been willing to trade a little bit more because they wouldn't have signed Jalen Brunson. So they wouldn't have been super gung-ho of like, we have to keep RJ Barrett, we have to keep these guys, we have to keep all this stuff. They might have actually been a little more gung-ho to trade for a Donovan Mitchell. There's another year on his contract that they would have had as well. And then they would have started the excitement for the team and the excitement to get another free agent to come there. But I think that some of the other teams that might not have even been listed that that could have actually offered some good pieces, because at the time they either didn't sign someone to an extension or they might have had someone get hurt and then they would have been willing to actually trade something. Like Miami might have been a little more willing to trade something to get Donovan Mitchell. Cleveland might not have at that point because Sexton wasn't hurt, so they didn't know what they were going to get with Sexton and Garland. But you might have had some other Western teams.
They were talking
like
about trading.
Denver. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. But they were talking about trading Sexton last off season. Like the Colin Sexton thing isn't anything new. Just my point is last year that Mitchell was actually like happy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like in a couple seasons ago, he was happier to the point where he signed a long-term deal to stay in Utah. Yeah, but now he's got plenty of years left on the contract, and that's a pretty good grab if you can lock up that type of player for like years and years ahead.
Right. No, that's very true. So, that being said, we all have Denver in first. We have a combination. Well, Mike and I have Minnesota in second, and then Portland in third. Dennis has the flip-flop of that.
Dennis,
and then we essentially just have the Thunder and Jazz in last because both of them are rebuilding and tanking and everything. So that brings us to our final segment. What you got? Dennis, we'll start with you.
Dennis again has nothing to offer this thing. Next week I will have a what you got.
Okay. All right. Mike, how about you?
What I got is so far. Now, Alex, have you had? Did you buy 2K23 yet?
I have not. No.
All right, Dennis, have you bought it?
I have it. Yes.
Okay, so this is really just a question for me and Dennis, since Alex hasn't gotten the game yet. What is your starting my career player build? And Alex, if you had a 2K22 my player, you can answer.
I did, so I'll wait till Dennis answers, though.
I've never played my career.
Oh, my God.
Really? Not once?
I'm a GM mode guy.
Of course you.
My GM is pretty fun. I also like the My Team stuff. My Team gets pretty fun, too.
Yeah, but my GM is just, like, so much better than anything. Like, I love it.
Okay. Well, have you tried the new mode with the eras?
With the what?
With the eras? Eras?
E-R-A.
I don't know. With the eras? No.
Yeah, you could, like, start a dynasty, like, in the 80s. And then, like, get to the 84 draft and, like, draft, like, Michael Jordan or Hakeem or Sam Bowie or whoever. Like, you could start at any time frame and, like, play through it.
See, that shit's cool.
Like, my buddy took the Nets, got to the 90s, drafted Shaq, and then like, a couple years later or years prior, drafted Penny Hardaway. So he had Penny and Shaq on the Nets.
I know somebody in like the Sixers Facebook group I'm in. They took the Iverson Sixers and drafted a bunch of people to get him a ring instead of the team that they had.
Yeah.
So that is pretty cool. I do like that idea.
Yeah.
I can say my career build for 2K22 was actually what I played when I was still on like the middle school, high school teams. It was a sharpshooting shooting guard.
Okay.
You reminded me of like Woody Harrelson and like White Men Can't Jump.
My guy is a 6'10", 2A diming 3-point shooter.
What position?
Small forward.
Okay.
He's the white, but he's got the Ja Morant hairstyle.
Of course he does. I always make my guy just look ridiculous, but like I also give him ridiculous names. I think my career's name in 2K22 was D's Nuts.
I always make my number 69.
See, I mean it's essentially the same thing. But my what you got is actually which Denver Nuggets team would you take in a 7-game series? The current or the one that got to the Western Conference Finals with Carmelo Anthony? And I'll bring up who was on that team because I know, at least for people listening, they might not remember who all was on that team. But I had to bring this up because obviously George Karl getting into the Hall of Fame. He was the coach of the team at the time. They lost the Western Conference Final matchup to the Lakers. That was in the 2009 playoffs. So on the team was Birdman, Carmelo Anthony, Chucky Atkins, Ronaldo Balkman, Chauncey Billups, Anthony Carter, Jason Hart, Nene, Juwan Howard, Allen Iverson, Dante Jones, Linnaeus Kleza, Kenyon Martin, Johan
Linus
Petro.
Kleza. Come on.
Linus Kleza. Johan Petro. Cheek Sam. I don't know how to pronounce his name. J.R. Smith and Sonny Weems.
Yeah, I'll take this team over that team.
You would take the current Nuggets over that.
Yes.
Now, was this when Nene had... Never mind.
Had what?
I was going to say one or two testicles. That was bad. I apologize.
Dennis, what is wrong with you?
No, but here's the thing. This Nuggets team, Jokic is 10 times the player Carmelo Anthony will ever dream of being. The current Nuggets are so much better than that crap that was assembled. I have no idea how they made it to the Western Conference Finals with that team.
I mean, Chauncey Billups was a damn good point guard.
I got to go back and look at what teams they played and things like that, and we'll have a discussion. But I have a hard...
I can actually tell you right now. So in the first round of the playoffs, they played the Hornets when they were still New Orleans. So they played... That was Chris Paul, David West Hornets. And then in the second round, they played the Mavericks, which was the Dirk, Jason Terry, Jason Kidd Mavericks. And then that Lakers team was the one that ended up winning the championship that year. So that was Kobe, Pau Gasol, Trevor Ariza, Lamar Odom, Andrew Bynum, that Lakers team.
For some reason, whenever I hear, I forget, well, I never forgot that, but I always remember David Stern going, the Knicks select Ronaldo Balkman, with that Brooklyn accent. And they're like, oh, Ronaldo Balkman, and then he turned into nothing.
Essentially.
Nobody announces draft picks better than David Stern. God rest his soul.
Oh, I agree. He was the best.
Yes.
And this was also Sonny Weems this was his rookie year. I remember him on the Raptors actually.
Was
But
he Sonny Weems out of Arkansas?
yes. But he only played a total of 4 seasons. And after his third season, which was in Toronto, that was 2010-2011, he played again all the way in 2015-16 and then didn't play after that. So wasn't in the league much, but he got to the Western Conference Finals, which says more than a lot of other people can say.
I'm still taking this Nuggets team, even if they no longer have Facundo Campazzo.
Facundo.
You know me, I know how to pronounce my European names.
Boris Dow.
Boris Diaw.
Italian sharpshooter Andrea Bargnani.
I like how you got Michael Olowokandi correct, though.
Who's not even European.
I know, he's Nigerian.
I didn't even catch that.
But I will say, if you had this current Nuggets team that still had Jamal Murray and Michael Porter hurt, I would pick the old Nuggets team. But if we're saying fully healthy, I would also take the current Nuggets team. It is a little crazy that team did end up getting to the Western Conference Finals, and they actually, the funny thing too was I believe they were like a top 3 seed on top of that, which is honestly a little surprising.
Did you see the shot Jokic made off the shot clock at Eurobasket?
Yeah, I sent that to you guys.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah.
How'd you get my number?
I sent it to you on Instagram.
Oh, and by the way, they were a number 2 seed in the West that year.
Oh,
What was the one they called the Nuggets being a powerhouse in the West before it happened?
I mean, you can't be a powerhouse if you've never even made a final.
They made the conference final.
A final.
All right, they would have made the conference final if it wasn't for a miraculous play.
I'm just saying, you have to make the finals.
I said what I said.
To be a powerhouse.
Well, like I always tell you, Mike, if my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle.
This isn't an it. This is I said what I said.
I mean, you did predict them being one of the top teams in the Western Conference. But I will not give you powerhouse just yet.
Okay, whatever.
Who let you follow me on Instagram?
With that, I think it's time for me to.
Mike is that guy sending.
I did this man's taxes, but how'd you get my number?
Is that you, hot ass 3624, trying to follow me? Is that you?
That's not me.
Sending message requests.
Yeah.
18 and over only. Click this link.
Right.
You probably got them a couple times.
That was Mike.
Dennis, did you subscribe to my OnlyFans?
No, not yet. I'm waiting for your 50% off.
Black
October.
Friday deal?
Yeah.
My Black Friday special.
But anyway, that's it for us, unless you guys have anything else to get off your chest. Who you got winning the Monday night games?
Well, Seahawks are
I don't care.
Who scored for the Seahawks?
Will Disley.
Of course.
On a 38-yard pass from Geno Smith.
I hate
Geno. My man's.
Awesome.
Geno. That's right. You show the Jets what they're missing.
But all right, thank you everybody for listening and watching another episode of The Atlantic Files, the #1 podcast on the #1 division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network on YouTube. Subscribe below, hit the bell for notifications whenever we go live and post videos. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, everywhere. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.